And good morning. This is an Elliott Wave intraday alert update for the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100. I'm recording it Friday, November the 14th at 8:35 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Well, we got through the opening. And starting here with the S&P 500, I'm on the hourly chart, we did not break below the low from the 7th of November, nor did we break below the no break zone of the bottom of that minuet wave 2 at 65.71. So those did not occur, and the market has turned and rallied strongly. The S&P was down, I believe, close to 100. Now it's up 20. And what really took place was pretty much what I was talking about in the morning update today. And that was it has everything to do with expiration. And I just want to take one brief moment. I'm looking at the SPX options, and I'm looking for the ones that are expiring today. We had a repeat of what happened. No, that's not the wrong one. I don't want those. I want the SPX. Sorry. So let me get over there and go in here. Now, pay attention. 66.47 was the low. So let's just say what I want to come back out, and now I'm going to go back into that. These levels, 66.50. That's what I'm looking at. What really took place? Look at the size. So 66.50. 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, etc. 6,600, 29,000. What really took place? Then come over here to this side, and we have to go higher because we opened at 66.72. Now the high is 67.67, I'm going to call it. So we have 67.60. Look at these numbers. So once again, and I'm going to credit it to the dealers. Now, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but this is what it appears to have happened to me. Same thing we saw last week when during the morning, they shoved the SPX down to 66.30. And if we look back then down to the puts, we found pretty much what we're seeing again. We said all the way down, right? 66.46, but look, it looks like they monetized all the way down. And so having that in place, they monetized the calls on the way down, right? They gapped and monetized the calls on the way down. Then redid it, and now changed the positions and monetized again as the market came all the roaring back. So that's what I think took place. Now, who's doing it or what, don't know, but that's kind of how I'm putting that together. Now, one last thing I want to do is I want to go over here and I want to look at the SPX. Here it is. See what they did? They gapped. We went down, so they gapped down on that opening, and then they went up and filled the gap and kept going. And on that pullback, it came back just to the gap. And now they're rallying again. This is pretty amazing. So let me just show you on the SPX what it looks like. And if I take it off of there and I go to the line chart, you see big, huge difference. So not even close. So I am leaving let me go back over to the ES now. That's the one that's more important. If I take it out of here and I put it back on that line chart, on the bar chart, you can see we came down and didn't break it, but we got pretty low. So when I bring it over here and put that on the line chart, you can see how much higher it is. So I am moving that 4 over, and pretty much to keep it in line with the other markets, because we did come down further. We came down all the way there. So just tiny little bit of a failure. But I feel that it did complete the move because I had to go back on my relabeling. I had put the 4 here and then put this as A of minuet 5. And that this would be the B wave. Well, then upon reflection, it really does count best as 5. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, wave C. So big A, B, C, that minuet 4 goes over here. So once again, and I talked about this, but I did it a little bit different this morning. What I was talking about is that this 4 had to shift to come all the way over to here. Then we'd be still looking for additional downside. But it's the same concept, right? Shifted the 4. It's over here. So what's that leave in front of us? That minuet 5th wave. Here it would have been a minute 5th wave. So all of this would have had to occur. Now it's just that minuet. Now, are we back on track to now move forward with the markets moving higher? The way that they're lifting off of this tells me yes. Now, let's try and just for a moment, we need to relate it back to what really was happening today, and it was gamma. So what did the SPX really still needs to do? It needs to give us more additional concrete. It needs to get back above 6,800. But if I'm just kind of looking here, and again, this is usually reserved for the morning update and for paid subscribers. I'm just going to go over and look at the SPX for a very quick minute. What was more important here is that the SPX got back above 6,700. At 6,700, it was the put wall on large gamma 3. So getting back above there sets the stage. Now, ultimately, I want to see this thing, and it did. It just now went up and broke above the volatility trigger. If it can do it again, because now it's sitting right down at it, if it can hold and get back above it, then the next move should take it above 6,800, which again is another gamma level. So reinstating these gamma levels, getting set up that much of it will likely expire today. So where they get reset is going to be very interesting. But it's the same type of a deal. Monetize on the way down, both directions, monetizing back on the way up. And now you can deal with maybe positions that are sitting at 6,780, 6,800, et cetera, in the SPX. It is totally wrapped around expiration. But we're not out of the woods yet. If we got a nasty turn south again, I'm not going to, and it may have something to do with expiration, but I think there'll be something else behind it. Because all of this trade that we had this morning, I believe, was all just expiration. Let's see how they want to take this expiration out. And then we can kind of go from there. But right now, I am feeling more positive that we likely have completed what we need to in terms of size, in terms of volume this morning. And now we're getting ready to start this minuet 5th wave going back up. And again, it's going to come in an ABC, but I'm thinking it's going to be a 535. So with that in mind, I feel that we are inside that A wave up, and it should work out to be 5 waves. And so far right now, I think what we finished, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, maybe, yeah, I think we should clear 6,800 and then some, and that'll give us the A wave up. So now, where can I need to just put okay, wave 5. So I got to go here and go up to here and then go over to here. It's going to seem a little bit ass backwards, but that's because wave 4 overlapped wave 1. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to change all that, just get this put up real quick. So we have some boundaries set up for that move, the move up. Okay, so, all right, so there, I'm going to put that there, leave that there, leave that there, and leave those. I may include that later, but I don't need it for right now. Okay, so this is just where we're finding some resistance right now, and that's coupled with the hourly 50, and then we have 0.618, which is 68.15, which is kind of coupled together with the hourly 200. I think we can get past those, and then our next level would be getting back above 6,900. So first task at hand, staying above the volatility trigger and getting back above 6,800. So I think that's kind of also important for today's move. And right now we're just kind of pulling back, which is normal functionality within the market. And then hopefully get above 6,800. It may not, it could try. It could try for 69, but it'd be quite the move. It'd be really quite the move from where we were this morning. So I'm feeling better about that. What's coming together is the what's this one? That one should actually not be there. It is. What was this one then? Oh, the old one. Sorry, let me get rid of that. So now we just got these. I was figuring, why do I have all these other fibs here? Okay, so that's all taken down. So I am feeling a little bit more positive that this all held. This is what got moved. It didn't break that. It didn't break that. So that kept this in line. If I go over to the NASDAQ, you're going to see the same thing. And it did break that one, but we're changing it to an A wave. So the C wave can break it. So I'm feeling more positive about the direction and the strength that we can build, and that our upside targets are pretty much remaining intact right now. So same alternate, by the way. And that this alternate, no. Whether it's a wave 4, no. That one I'm going to stick to because this was too high. And comparing that to A and this is all a B, no. Gets really out of hand. So if that's A, this has to be A, B, and then, the other way around, A, B, C. And it's just too big. It's just way, 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 way too big. So compared to this. So I'm leaving it. The alternate would remain that it all completed there, all the way up to that cycle 3. Luckily, that's not, as of right now, the case. But of course, I'll be watching it very closely. So I'm going to go over now to the NASDAQ and see the same differences. I want to fill in those blanks. So going over, let's take a look at the NASDAQ. And it's the same deal. Now notice that did not break that. And that's what would have broken the pattern, not this. So what I took a step back this morning because I was so hung up here. I'm like, well, no, you can't go below that. That's the start of this, the 5th wave. So I was putting the 4 there. This couldn't break there. No, it still can't. But the break point was this one that would have canceled, negated the pattern, not breaking that level. So what I did, same deal as I did over the S&P, shift the 4 over, which puts it in, this is all wave A, still was 3, but it's wave A instead of 4. This ended up being 3, so it's a B wave, and now we have the 5. So putting it together and taking a step back and going like, oh, how did I miss that before? I apologize. But again, it was realizing, oh my God, that broke. I got to change the whole count. And was not working in my head to do that. but it took until after the opening to see what they were going to do, because I thought breaking that could have really produced a stronger reaction to the downside. It happened on the opening round, period. Once that was done, they started buying it and they haven't stopped. So there's our response. Same deal. Now, let me go to the NDX because this is where it was important. So MDX, yes, on the line chart, on the bar chart, yes, it broke it. I need to pull this over. I have not updated this chart yet. But I want to show you the line chart. See the difference? So I could leave the 4 there. But then what it does, it leaves this in a weird position. Then this really could be A, B, and now we're working a C wave up. I don't have that same luxury, but I'm going to be looking at this a little bit closer, because if I go over to the NQ, you see it did. So this all broke before. And by the time the market opened, we were already heading higher. So that opening range did not, or it actually did here, but not in the future, in the cash, broke below there. So not sure exactly how I'm going to deal with it, because I could put the 4 there and I have to put the B there, and I don't like that. So I'm going to have to set it up this way and likely have to move the other one as well. That doesn't fit. So that's going to be my challenge. So to whether do I accept the same index, future versus cash, having a slight variation to the count. We'll see. It's going to be interesting. We'll see. But right now, this is how I'm looking at the NQ. And let's just kind of go back and put it into the bar chart, and you can see what we've got going on now. And so here, up and down to there, I got to take that down. And because it's no longer, it is a C wave, but I have to put it from here. That's wave 4. Yeah, that's what we got to do. Hold on one second. The first one I got to put up is this one over to here. And let me just put this in real quick. So it is actually a little bit easier for me to handle it without having to think, oh my God, what do we put up there? Because the alternate is very negative. In other words, it's like we should be dropping. We should be having this rally. We should be dropping like a stone. But then again, I still have to think, it's like, if it is the alternate, that's going to be wave 1 of 3. So this would be wave 2. So you can see already it's up to 618. So if we get up and we surpass all of this, that's not a wave 2. So again, 618, 786. I'll leave that one up there, and I'm put 064. And let me go. Oh my God. Yeah, getting it together. Okay, and then we have 1, and then I got 618, and I'm going to 2.61. I'll leave those all up there. So we have here, that's our next resistance point up, 25,368, then moving up in this 5th wave. That's just a pause. Here again, 100%, where wave 5 equals wave 1. That's just a pause, 25,596. Here's our first one, which should actually still be a pause, because you see how far we went down. 1.618 is not to a new high, and that's essentially what I'm looking for, and that's 26,194. So we go up to here, and now we're up to that 100% for minute and 2.618 for minuet. There's our target for right now. That'll be revised, I'm sure, but that's what I'm looking at. And so I am going to finish this up. So Once again, the pattern is saved and I've kind of worked it out. Now we're just going to see, because I think there's still going to be some people who think I'm crazy for using this rare pattern, which doesn't occur that often. But it did. In my view, it has occurred and just extended out one more. So it didn't break anything structurally. And it came down and put in a new low below A, as it should have. And so I'm like, well, I got no reason. And still didn't, it followed, it stayed within the rules. So what got really extended was just the minuet fourth wave end point got moved over. So that puts that as A, B, C, 4. So we're into 5. And I'm going to end it right there. Let's see how this all finishes up for the day. Again, it was expiration related. And in the NASDAQ, it wasn't so much that it was in the NQ or the NDX options. It was in the Qs. Qs broke below 600. And you see what they did? They hit that low and they just went. They just went and went and went, and they haven't stopped. That low, by the way, or that break below 600 was major because it was taking the market. See, first of all, on the way down, market broke volatility trigger, large gamma 3, large gamma 2, large gamma 1, and the put wall. And the first thing it did, got back above 600, reinstating the put wall and large gamma 1. And now they're up at 612, so they've retaken large gamma 2, and they're heading for large gamma 3 at 615. Now, that in the Qs, quite the feat, quite the turn. And the fact what's behind, the size of it and the power behind it also just kind of gives me a little bit more support that it is over. Okay. I'm going to finish it. Let's get this published. Thank you very much. The next update will be the weekly, and it will be a podcast.